All righty. Hey, Sarah Shaw here for another interview. I'm talking to Ifen Carlson from Leuven's today, and I'm really excited to talk to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. I'm here in San Francisco. I'm the founder of a line of slippers called Leuven's. I started the business in 2023 after my kids left for college so that I had time to do it. And what the slippers are about is, we have a shoe-free home, and so we wear slippers. And I was always irritated about how frumpy and ugly slippers are. And after you wear them for a while, they get kind of dirty or gross and you have to throw them out. And so I found myself buying like cheap slippers over and over again because, you couldn't keep them for very long. And so
Yeah.
when my kids were little, that's when we started having a shoe free home because I wanted to make sure the floors were clean for them. And then I just couldn't find the right slippers. And so finally, when they left for college, I was like, now it's my chance to do it because I've been obsessed and thinking about it for years. And I could never find ones that kind of fit what I was looking for, which is stylish, so they're not frumpy and ugly, especially if guests show up or you're hosting dinner, you're not embarrassed to wear it. And two, I wanted them to be comfortable, of course, but also to be washable so that I can keep them longer. And so finally in 2023, I launched it on Kickstarter, September of 23. We did really well on Kickstarter. We made our funding goals like on the first day. We were a project we love. So it went off really well. And so that's what started the business.
That's so awesome. I didn't even know your backstory like that. I
Yeah.
love hearing that. And products that come from necessity, right, are like sort of the best in my opinion. We did shoe free when my kids were born too, because I was
Yeah.
like, ew, they're crawling on the floor and then
Exactly.
putting hands
Right.
in
And
their
then they're like
mouth.
putting hands in their mouth. I'm like, that's just gross.
Oh, so yeah, so my kids are almost 18, so long time.
Yeah.
Um, and also tell me a little bit about like before we met, how your business was. What was it like? What were sales like? Where did you sell?
Sure. So we're primarily direct to consumer online. So, like I said, I launched it in September on Kickstarter. We did really well. And I timed it purposely so that we go right into Christmas season, which is the height of slipper business. And
Sure.
so that was great. And then after, January, February is really slow as usual. But we were growing, but not growing as fast as I wanted to. And my background's in financial services. So I knew nothing about footwear or fashion or, retailing online. So I was really learning as I go. And so I was having some success online, but it wasn't growing as fast as I wanted to be. So sales was good, but it wasn't great, as you would expect from a startup.
Sure.
And then that's when around June of 24 last year is when I started thinking I've got to try something different, doing the same thing over and over again online. I was doing a lot of organic social media posting, spending money on advertising, which I was spending more money than I was making.
I was just gonna ask, yeah.
Yeah. And then I was willing to spend the money because I needed to get awareness out there, right?
Sure,
So no one, if they
sure.
don't know about my website, they can't find it, they can't shop. And so I was spending a lot of money in advertising and just realized I was not getting the returns I needed. And so I needed to do something different. And I knew my biggest issue was getting traffic on my website and getting awareness out there. And
Sure.
um, so that's where I think I saw one of your ads on Facebook. And what caught my attention was the whole idea of getting to gift guides. And also, I hadn't looked at boutiques at the time. I wasn't really as sure about going to wholesale, but it was really more the gift guides and celebrity endorsements that caught my attention. Because at that time, I was also trying to figure out how to get into gift guides, and I didn't know how to get to the editors. And, I was looking at these lists and platforms that you can sign up for to get, editors' addresses and so forth, but they were like thousands and thousands of dollars, which,
4,000. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it just didn't seem worth it for a small business like
Sure.
mine. And so that's when I saw you and decided to see how this thing works.
Oh, awesome. How did you feel when you saw my little video?
It was helpful just to like, oh, I was really looking for help. Like I said, I'm new to selling online, footwear
Sure.
products. And I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was, looking at different, little classes and so forth. And what I really needed was I needed like access to someone I could ask questions to, and I needed access to a list of editors and stores and so forth. And so that's really what caught my attention. And so that's why I placed a call to you.
Yay. How did you feel on the call when we were talking? Did you
Good. I
feel
mean, I felt
relieved
like,
or like
yeah, I know. I
scared?
felt like you had the experience, right? And you knew what I was looking for.
Mhm.
And the timing was also interesting in that I just happened to call you, I think, end of June. And you were like right away, like if you sign up, skip everything, go straight to gift guides because gift
Yeah.
guides pitching starts in July. So the
Yeah.
timing was perfect and that I caught you just in time because if I waited a month or two later, probably would have been too late.
Yeah.
And so that was super helpful because like I knew I needed to write to the editors, but I didn't know the cadence. I wasn't quite sure the content should be. I didn't know who I could write to. I was willing to spend a lot of time emailing, because one thing I realized when I was doing my Kickstarter campaign was that I personally wrote emails to all my contacts, like over 1,000 emails. And I
Sure.
found that to be the most impactful when you write one on one. And so I knew that if I could get that list of editors and knew what to write, I could just go to town and start. And so, yeah, and so timing was great. So then in July, like I just skipped right to the gift guide section and just started cranking out emails. And it was a lot of work, but it was also very helpful because it did have an impact. I was really excited when I got instantly an email back from I won't say who, but one of the
Yeah.
biggest, I would just say one of the biggest guys out there.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And so
most coveted. Yeah.
yes, one of the most coveted. And so I knew, all right, my emails are getting through because they're responding to me. It didn't quite work out that time for this particular publications, but I did get other publications. So Elle, for example, Elle Decor picked me up
Yeah.
and I was in their top hostess gift. So it wasn't for Christmas, but it was for, I think, like August and September, which is great because it jump
Yeah.
started helped jumpstart my business for the fall. And then a number of different blogs also picked it up. And so it was good. Like, okay, I knew this worked. Someone is reading my emails, it's getting through. Maybe not this time. So I did get quite a few actual publications who asked for samples. So I know that it was getting into their inbox.
Yeah. And the good thing too, I'm so happy to hear that, but
Yeah.
that when once you get a sample to someone, it might not be the right moment for it, but if you stay in touch with them, it could be, a few
Yep.
months later, or
Right.
maybe, they're the kind of person who's wants to try it and wear it for 30 days before they think about using it, and then they're going to use it the next year. So
Yep.
you kind of never know when that full circle will come back to you. So bravo for going ahead and sending those out, and stay in touch with those people because you never know.
Yeah, so now I'm looping back to all the editors that I kind of was in touch with last year, and I'm going back to them again just to remind them of who we are, and hopefully, plant the idea again for to get
Yeah,
into their gift guides for this fall
because it
Christmas.
is July again.
I know, I'm in the middle of doing that right now.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about when you first got into the program, like what the process was like for you, and kind of what made all that click easily.
Yeah, I think, like I said, because of my timing, I did go through a lot of the classes, the courses, but I was really focused on the gift guides just because of timing, and I just kind of skipped everything. And so it was something really concrete. It was something, it wasn't like, oh, well, should I do this now? What should I do? And it was nice that I could just jump right into it. And so the process is easy in that I had the list, I had the content, you had your calls, I was able to email you the email I wanted to send out. And so I was able to get going right away, as opposed
Yeah.
to like, I'm going to go through all these courses and then figure out what to do next. It just kind of pushed me right into action, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to take classes and just kind of think about it and kind of noodle on it. And
Mm,
the timing just kind of forced me into it.
yeah. Do you want to hold up a pair of your slippers?
Oh, yeah. So these are pair of Luvens. So you can see these are pink ones. Am I ever holding right? Yeah, they're pink ones. You see they've got cushion, they've got a rubber sole, and yeah, so see these do not look frumpy. You could wear
No.
these, when you have guests over, and these come in um, black and navy and camel. and a sort of a raffia cream color, sort of a more neutral color as well. So they come in all kinds of different colors, and yeah, they're great. They're really comfortable, and they also all come with this laundry mesh bag, so you can just throw in the washing machine. And
And
so it's
then
really
lay
easy.
flat to dry, I assume.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and you just kind of let it air dry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So while we're talking about PR, show your biggest win so far in your glossy magazine that you got
Oh,
into
yes.
for
I got
Mother's
into
Day
Better
gift
Homes
guide.
Garden for their
Yeah.
Mother's Day gift guide. You can see, and I've got this nice little feature here.
First
And it
item.
was,
I love it.
yeah, and it was written up as like, uh, yeah, supportive slippers that people will love. So Mother's Day
Yeah.
gift guide, that was a big win. And that made a huge difference for my Mother's Day sale this year. So last year was my first Mother's Day sale, and I actually discounted, did a true 20% off sale. This year I didn't discount at all, and my sales was like 4.5 times of last year. So it made a huge impact, like right away, as soon as, and I could tell that it was people getting from people's mailboxes, because all of a sudden the orders started coming in really
Yeah.
steadily, like 3 weeks before Mother's Day. And even today, I'm still getting orders. People email and say, I saw, your slippers in my doctor's office, because, doctors keep these magazines around. So there's life that keeps going. So yeah, that was a big win just to get out there. And so not only was it helping for business, but the other thing I really also wanted with gift guides was to establish credibility. And
Hmm.
so that when I write to boutiques, or I can put on my website that this has been featured in Better Homes and Gardens and Elle Decor and a bunch of other blogs, automatically that gives me credibility that I'm not just some fly by night, you know,
Totally. That big stamp
shoddy.
of approval. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
especially for Better Homes and Gardens, who, they do actually really review the products and everything. That was a big one. And so,
Yeah. How
um,
many units do you think you've sold from assumably being in the magazine?
hundreds. Yeah. I mean,
That's so
yeah.
great.
Yeah. My price point is, they're $95 a pair. So they don't, they're not like a huge volume type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was literally getting like, several, hundreds orders, and so it actually did make a big difference.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
great. I was so excited when you told me about that. I like
I
did my
know.
little dance of joy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about the wholesale part. So now that you've been building credibility, I know you first jumped last year right into the media pitching because it was July, and
Yep.
then you were able to go back to the wholesale.
Yeah, so I haven't actually started. I didn't start in the wholesale last year. I had a handful of wholesale accounts, so I was kind of testing the water, trying to figure out, because I'm a business of one person,
Yeah, yeah, of
and
course.
so I couldn't tackle everything at once. So I was trying to be very strategic about it. Like, okay, I was going to focus on gift guides and brand awareness, and then I was going to try to figure out how to get my online business going so that that can kind of run itself a little bit more. And so then now I'm actually now pitching wholesale and boutiques. And so I just started pitching about a month ago, and it's I'm getting responses, which is great, and I can see that
Yeah,
people are opening. And the timing is good now because this is a seasonal business, right? And
sure.
so people are now thinking about the holidays. And so
Hmm.
last year I made the mistake of pitching to boutiques, I think like October, thinking that it's 2 months for Christmas. And that was way too late. Like,
Yeah,
people are starting coming
they're
back to me like,
stocked.
yeah, they're like, we've already ordered this stuff. And so now this year I'm like, okay, so the gift shows are in July. People are starting to think about it now for holidays. So now I'm pitching the wholesalers. And,
Yeah.
um, again, I'm trying to time things. And so now I'm like pitching editors and wholesalers. So,
Yeah,
and for
right. Trying to
retailers.
get
So,
in those October, November, December issues if you don't make a gift guide and then get into
exactly.
orders for
So,
holidays. Yeah.
yeah. So, like, I knew like the first half of the year, I was going to really focus on my online business. And now I'm shifting my focus to the
Both.
wholesale business. Yeah, exactly.
Doing double duty now.
Yes. Yes. Working a lot.
Yeah, that's so great. Well, so what advice would you give to business owners who are in the same place where you were, before you got started with me?
I think you really have to think strategically about what you're trying to do, right? Like for us as a startup, a brand new business, our biggest challenge, like Is it awareness you're looking for? Is it, revenue top line? Is it profitability? Also pick your channels. Is it direct to consumer? Is it wholesale? Like these, because you can't do everything. And
Yeah.
so what I find myself doing is if I try to do everything, I don't get anything of it done well. And so I try to stay focused. And so I
Yeah.
really think ahead of like, this quarter I'm going to be focused on this, and this right now obviously is a gift guide and wholesale timing. And so be strategic about what you want to do. And the whole celebrity endorsement, I know that's part of your program. Like I really want to tackle that, but I also want to be sort of strategic about it. Like if I should do that and wholesale and direct to consumer and gift guides, it's just not going to get done.
Yes.
Right.
Like,
And
yes, yes,
so yes.
yes.
So what I like is that there are sort of three different prongs that you
Yeah.
could tackle in your program, like whether it's gift guides or celebrity or wholesale, and pick and choose what's important to you at that time and
Yeah.
focus on that. And then
Yeah.
get that down and then move on to the next one.
Just curious why you didn't do the celebrity outreach at the same time for the last 6 months that you've been concentrating on media to get that credibility and drive the traffic to your online store.
Um, there's no reason except I just didn't have time,
I
honestly.
see.
It
Okay.
was very much a matter of like, and I knew that's a nugget that I really need to tackle. Like there's so many things, right? Like when you think about business, how to drive sales, there's a channel strategy, there's a marketing
Yeah.
strategy, there's, PR strategy, right? And you just have to make sure you know what you're going to focus on. And if one thing doesn't work, move on to the next one. But also don't give up too early, right?
I was just going to say it's the persistence often in the
Yeah,
thing that might not be working quite yet, but sticking with it to kind of go over those humps as you approach them, right? Like, you know, kind of like how you were saying in the beginning, how January and February can be slow online times, but then, maybe people are thinking then it's like March, April, May is Mother's Day,
yeah,
sort of gifting time, right? And then you move into the next quarter with gift guide pitching and you
yep,
know and then looking at, even for you, I would imagine that like bringing it as hostess gifts for Thanksgiving or something like
yep,
that would be a really great way for you to sort of eke into that, that gifting side over there,
yep,
because once if you got a lot of traffic, hopefully from the magazine, right, it kind of filled that funnel and you can capture all those people or
yep,
their IP address, and you could do retargeting ads or something inexpensive for people
right,
who know you, but then, nurturing them through your whole email sequences and staying on
yep,
top of them to
yep,
move them into kind of like, hey, if you haven't thought about that, bring these to your
right,
friends, right?
right, right. Yeah, it's like it's not just one thing, right? It's a whole system of things you have to work on. So,
Mhm.
like in January, February, for example, when it's a little bit slow, I was trying to figure out my direct consumer, and I spent a lot of time on email marketing, trying to get that all set up so that that'll run by itself
Yeah.
while I do everything else. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so celebrity endorsement is definitely on my list with next thing to tackle, but I'm just trying to do one thing at a time.
Yeah. Celebrity gifting. We don't use the
Gifting.
word endorsement because that implies that you pay them.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Yep.
so celebrity gifting, and we want them to be pattering around their house in their
Exactly.
slippers.
Exactly.
And yeah, it'll be great. Well, I'm really excited to, talk to you again sometime soon, see how things are progressing, and let me know if you get into any gift guides and when you start your
Yeah, of
celebrity. Well,
course.
I'm sure I'll
Yeah.
know when you start your celebrity because you'll probably send me some letters
Yeah,
to
I will. I will.
give
Yeah,
my stamp
I
of
definitely
approval
want to
on it.
do that. It's just like I said, I'm just trying to, you know,
Balance it.
balance a cadence of what I'm going to focus on.
Sure. No, and I can really appreciate that, like finding the time to dedicate to each of the channels, right? The online, the wholesale, the media, the celebrities. It's kind of a big fan,
Yep.
right? And then what you have to do with each of those things, right? Because once you get into the magazines, then how do you disseminate that? How do you promote that? How do
Exactly.
you get that
Yep.
out to
Yep.
all of your
Yep.
channels and ways to bring all that back in. And one thing I wanted to mention too is that I was glad you brought up the doctor's office. That's the great, like some people say to me, who reads print? Everyone's looking at digital.
Yep. Yep.
And I was like, well, don't you go to the nail salon, the hair salon, the doctor's
Yeah.
office? Like people keep those magazines around for a long time. I mean,
Exactly.
when I was in Oprah, many moons ago on her O list, that magazine must have sat for 5 years in some
Yeah.
doctor's offices because
Yeah.
I would get orders, and people are like, I saw it at the doctor's office. I'm like, wow, really? That's so crazy. And, or people tear things out of magazines and put it in like a wish list folder and then tell
Yep.
people Christmas, hey, or their birthday, here's my wish list. So, I think that getting into print is still the biggest. Everybody I know who gets into print actually makes way more money than
Yeah.
something online.
Yeah,
Um,
it was really, really exciting when I got it. I didn't know when the editor had reached out for the sample, like where it was going to end up. And so
sure.
to be in the print was huge.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you. Well, thank
Thanks.
you so much for taking the time to share your story.
You're
And
welcome.
I look forward to catching up with you another time.
Great. Thanks, Sarah.